Hello friends, welcome to this edition of our program Editorial Compass. I have for you an interesting topic today, which I have titled as From Non-Violence to Subhash Chandra Bose to INA to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Friends, was non-violence the sole reason for India's independence? Or was there something more that helped India to its independence? A lot has been spoken about India achieving independence through the Brahmastra of non-violence. But then there also happens to be another viewpoint that calls non-violence as a myth. Friends, the line between historical facts and fiction is more porous than students of history might think. It is not uncommon for countries to create self-suiting or sanitized historical narratives. As George Orwell very rightly said once, who controls the past controls the future, and who controls the present controls the past. India's Republic Day parade, if you noticed, this year featured for the first time veterans of the Indian National Army, that is INA, that waged an armed struggle against the British colonial rule, where 4 INA veterans in their 90s rode a jeep in the parade that even showcased the life experiences of the pillar of non-violence, Mahatma Gandhi, through some 22 tableaus. India has long embellished or distorted how it won independence. The incongruous juxtaposition of the INA along with Gandhi at the parade inadvertently highlighted that the INA veterans' participation in fact helped underscore the Indian Republic's founding myth that it won independence only through non-violence. This myth has been deeply instilled in the minds of all Indians since their school days. Surely, the Gandhi-led non-violent independence movement played a critical role both in galvanizing grassroots resistance to British rule and also in helping to gain independence. But the decisive factor was the protracted World War II. By protracted, I means it carried on for a very long time. So the decisive factor was the protracted World War II, which reduced to ruins large swathes of Europe and Asia, especially the imperial powers. The war between the Allied and the Axis powers killed about 80 million or 4% of the global population of that time. So that was no joke. Despite the Allied victory, a devastated Britain was in no position to hold on to its colonies, including its crown jewel, India. Even colonies where there were no grassroots resistance to colonial rule won independence in the post-World War II period. The British had dominated India through a Machiavellian divide and rule strategy. Their exit came only after they had reduced one of the world's wealthiest economies to one of its poorest. Indeed, they left after they had looted to their heart's content, siphoning out at least 9.2 trillion pounds, or you could say some $44.6 trillion, according to economist Utsa Patnaik's recent estimates. Had the post-1947 India been proactive and forward-looking in securing its frontiers, it could have averted both Kashmir and Himalayan border problems. China was in deep turmoil until October 1949, and India had ample of time and space to assert control over the Himalayan borders. But India's pernicious founding myth of non-violence gave rise to the pacifist country that believed it could get peace merely by seeking peace instead of building the capability to defend peace. And here's the paradox. Countless number of Indians died to the excesses of British colonial rule just in, you could say, man-made Bengal famine of 1942-45, where 6 to 7 million starved to death. A toll greater than the Holocaust when Jews were massacred due to British war policy of diverting resources away from India. Britain sent Indian soldiers in large numbers to fight its dirty wars elsewhere, including the 2 world wars, and many died while serving as cannon fodder. Indeed, the present Indian Republic was born in blood. As many as 1 million civilians died in a senseless violence, and millions more uprooted in the British contrived partition. Yet the myth of India uniquely charting and securing its independence through non-violence was propagated by the interiors of the Raj, the British-trained Brown Sahibs. No objective discourse was encouraged post-1947 on the multiple factors, internal and external, that aided India's independence. The hope of Indian independence was first kindled by Japan's victory in the 1904-05 war with Russia, the first time an Asian nation comprehensively defeated European rival. However, it was the World War that Adolf Hitler unleashed, with Imperial Japan undertaking military expeditions in the name of freezing Asia from white colonial rule, that acted as a catalyst. And then an emboldened Gandhi served a quit India notice on the British in 1942. While Subhash Chandra Bose led INA could not mount a formidable threat to the British colonial military overflowing with Indian soldiers, the Bombay Mutiny and other Sepoy revolts of 1946, triggered by INA prisoners' trials, undermined Britain's confidence in sustaining the Raj and thereby hastening their exit. Yet, independent India treated INA soldiers shabbily, with many abandoned into penury. Against this background, the rehabilitation of Bose and the INA was long overdue, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has done extremely well to initiate the process, however low-key, to give Bose and the INA their due, including recently renaming one Andaman island after Bose and 2 other Andaman islands to honor INA sacrifices. Modi even wore the INA cap to address a public meeting in Andaman on the 75th anniversary of Bose's hoisting the tricolour there. Recognizing unsung heroes is an essential step towards rebalancing the historical narrative. A rules-based international order premised on non-violence remains a worthy aspirational goal. But Indian romancing of non-violence as an effective political instrument crimped national security policy since its independence. The country hewed to pacifism with Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru publicly bewailing in 1962 that China had returned evil for good and frowned on materialism even after China surpassed India's GDP in 1984-85. The burden of its quixotic national philosophy has imposed enduring costs. including an absence of a strategic culture, as the late American analyst George Tanham famously pointed out. Lack of culture to pursue a clear strategy, vision and policy hobbles India's ambition to be a great power. Friends, this synopsis I have taken derived out of an article titled "The Non-Violence Myth," written by geostrategist Brahma Chalani. And this is all we have for today. And if you've liked our program, kindly press the like icon and also share it. Also subscribe the channel by pressing the red icon just now, and also the bell, so that you are notified each time we upload a video. Until we get back, goodbye.